And we're live. Hello, everybody. I know I'm not Bradley, but he'll be here in just a second. My name is Zane Miller. I'm guest producing the show. I'll be behind the scenes steering the ship and making sure that all of your questions are answered. So let's not stand on ceremony. We are at episode 15 of the Hump Day Hangout. So let's go ahead and introduce the man of the hour, Bradley Benner. Welcome, Bradley. That's how it's done.
It's awesome. Thanks, Zane. I appreciate that. Zane Miller is a YouTube ninja. I've learned a lot of stuff from Zane over the last couple of years because he was kind of one of the YouTube pioneers, and he offered to guest produce today, and I was honored for the opportunity to have him come do it. So I appreciate you being here, Zane.
Fantastic. I'm happy to be here. We've got tons of questions, so camera's on you, and unless you have any announcements that you want to make, we can just dive into the questions.
No, let's jump right into it.
All right, perfect. So first of all, we've got some questions from Carl, right? And he says, as mentioned before, my goal is to create several niches or verticals starting with the following: pets, medical, legal, and home improvements. Below are questions regarding my personal YouTube channel. So you got the context. It starts out with, are all the videos I create for clients hosted on my personal Carl Lee YouTube channel / account with playlist corresponding to the niches or verticals mentioned above? And then do you want me to just keep going with the rest of them as well?
Yeah, in this case, we had this question actually last week, and apparently he's still unclear about it. And so if he's unclear, there's a chance that others are unclear as well. So I think it's something that needs to be covered once again. And so, in fact, Zane, I'm going to probably have to take the screen because I've got Firefox opened up into a channel that I can actually set up some mock channels really quickly.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen as soon as I and jump back over there. I'm just going to go full screen. You guys, make sure. Let me know if you're coming through, okay?
All right. Let's just make sure. All right. Now, yep. Displaying your screen.
Okay. So. What Carl's asking is essentially he wants to know if he's going to target different kind of niches. There's going to be, so it's not all focused around one theme or one niche, one industry. So where the confusion is coming in, I believe, is the fact that, Carl, I don't think you understand that you can have different channels under your main account. Okay. What I tried to show last week was that what I suggest is that you, whatever your main area of expertise is for you personally, that you create a channel under your account for that industry, okay? And then you put videos into that channel. So I know Carl because I've met him before that he's done a lot of pet marketing stuff for the pet industry. So if that's your main area of expertise, Carl, then I would suggest that you have that channel. You're the actual owner of that channel. In other words, you create that channel under your main Google account, which in this case would be Carl Lee. You're right. That's you. But for any other industries that you're not an actual expert in or whatever, what I would suggest doing is setting up a persona, creating the Google account, the Gmail account, follow the training. I know you've got the ifftt SEO Academy training, so follow the training, create a separate persona, and then create that channel underneath that persona as the owner, and then add yourself as a manager. Okay, as a page manager. That way you can still log into the channel and do all your videos and everything else through your main Google account. But you do not need to, what I'm suggesting is that you keep them separate. I found that it just, by doing that, it builds the authority of your online presence for you, Carl Lee, okay? And also the personas, it builds their authority because it's all focused around one individual niche. So I think where the confusion comes in is where Carl is asking about playlists instead, and playlist doesn't have anything to do with any of this. I just want to make that clear. So essentially what I would suggest doing is, like, here's a persona that I had set up. In fact, it's a Brad Benner persona. It's just another channel that I had set up for how-to SEO. And what I would do is I would come in here and end up going to a different channel or creating a different channel. So as a matter of fact, I guess I have to switch accounts real quick, so give me a minute. Let's see. Zane, where do I add channel? I forget how to do that now. YouTube channels?
Well, no, you want to click
right here
on the right. Oh yeah, that's
yeah. So just click on. So for Carl, what I would do, Carl, is underneath. You set up. If you wanted to set up additional channels underneath your own account, you could. You'd click on your image up here. You click on the little settings icon, and it's going to take you to this page, and right here you can click on see all my channels or create a new channel. Okay, so in this case, if I wanted to, I could create a new channel by clicking on that and then giving my channel a name. So let's just say I'm going to do pet supplies. Let's just say that that's the channel I was going to do. I would select product or brand, agree to the pages and terms, click done. Okay, so now what this is going to do is it's going to create a YouTube channel, pet supplies, and at the same time it creates a Google Plus page. Okay, it does that at the exact same time. So in fact, if I click on view as public here, and I'll go to the public page, and I click on this now, the Google Plus image, you're going to see it's going to be a Google Plus page. You see that? But I don't recommend doing that, and I said that last week, because what I recommend doing is setting up a persona, creating the channel under the persona, and then adding your main account as a page manager, so that you're keeping even your personas themed and everything themed. And I don't know how to make that any clearer, but let me just go through this one more time, and because we went through it last week as well. But once you're on the actual page that you created, so let's say that you set up your pet supply channel under a John Doe account. Okay, you created a whole new persona. John Doe's his name. He's got his profile photo. You've got the Google account. You've got all the other accounts that I told you, that you know how to set up from the ifftt SEO Academy. Then when you get the page created and the channel created, you come over here to the page itself, go to the hover over the drop-down menu over here, go to Settings. Once you go to Settings, you go to Managers. From here, you click on Add Managers, and you put your main Gmail account email address in here and click Invite, and it's going to send you an invitation. In fact, if I were to put my own email account in here, then it would notify me immediately that I've been asked to manage this page. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to end up deleting this channel as soon as we're done anyways. But my point is that way you can still log into that channel and do all your video stuff through that channel through your main Carl Lee account. But it keeps it separate to where it's owned by the persona, and that persona is themed around that niche. That's how you build authority for those personas. Remember, we're in the semantic web now. That makes a huge difference. You don't want to spread your authority thin across multiple niches. You want to be an authority in one major area and build your persona or your main profile or your persona's profiles as an authority in that area. That's part of the semantic web. That's part of what Google Plus is about. I wouldn't suggest mixing it, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that was clear, because I know we had that question come up last week, and I thought it was pretty clear, but I might not have been.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to I have a quick example that I can show to nail it down here. So you can see my screen. You see that I've got this Google Plus page. It says Shirley McGee, right? This is what he's talking about as far as setting up a persona, right? You have a page that acts as the sort of the host, and then you are having that host, the persona, make your personal channel a manager of that presence, so that you are separate from it, but you're getting all the benefits just as if you were connected to it.
That's exactly right, and that's my point. You can still manage your persona's channels through your main account, and that makes it easy on you, right? You don't have to clear your cache and cookies and log into different accounts and all that. You don't have to do that. You just got to do that when you initially set up the account. Then you make yourself a page manager, and then you can log into that from your main account, and that's gonna make it so much easier on you for managing and everything else. But again, I suggest that you own the page or the channel through the personas, unless it's directly tied to what you're an authority in. Okay, because that's part of the semantic web. You want to keep that tight. Okay, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what was the next question?
Yeah. So he had like the next part of it is there's three parts. So the second part of the question was, are these videos then linked to the tier 1 corresponding persona properties, i.e. pets, medical, legal, and home improvements?
Well, yeah, you'd set up separate networks for that, right? So each industry is going to have its own ifftt network, okay? So then you're going to tie that channel to each network respectively, to its respective network. Does that make sense? So, in other words, if you have a pet industry channel, you're going to have a pet industry network, and you're going to tie those two together through ifftt. You're just going to activate the pet industry, let's say the pet supplies channel, will be the trigger channel. That's the channel you're going to activate in ifftt. That's going to feed that network. Every time you upload a video, it's going to automatically distribute that video to that network. And then the same thing as if you've got home improvement network. Then you have a home improvement channel. It's going to be a separate channel, okay? So then what you're going to do is you're going to activate the home improvement channel with that network. So you keep everything separate. What you don't want to do, what you can't do, is activate 2 channels to the same network. You can't do that anyways. ifftt will only allow you to activate 1 YouTube channel. And that's a good thing, because otherwise you guys could have, you know, multiple channels mixing and matching videos on networks, and that's not the recommended way to do it. You want to keep everything themed as tightly as possible.
And just to say it explicitly, just in case anyone's wondering about that, is that each one of these is you're gonna pull an RSS feed from each one of those, if that's what you're doing.
Well, yeah, but remember, with YouTube syndication, you're actually activating the channel. It's not feed driven.
Right.
To tier 1, all right? So that's why I'm saying you're going to activate each channel with its own network respectively, and that's how you're going to do it, okay? All right, so we'll move on. If there's any additional, I'm sure I'll get questions about that additionally, but I think that's pretty clear.
All right, cool. Now the next block of questions that we have is from, I believe, Braulio.
Yes.
But he's in the Hangout with us. So if you want to ask a question, feel free, Braulio, or I can just read it for you. That's fine. But he's muted now, so.
Yeah, let's just read up.
All right, I'll just go ahead and read it. So here we go. It says, first question for today's Hangout. I'd like to talk about something that was mentioned on the first Hump Day Hangout, which is using 301 redirects to protect money sites, or even as a buffer when you're doing client work. Bitly and tinyURL were mentioned, but they wouldn't be the best option since you can't change the link. Another option that Bradley says is that he's more often to buy an expired domain, do all the SEO work on that domain, then do a 301 redirect from there to the client's website. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so then the next one is, and if I understand correctly, there's a third option where you could do a meta refresh from a Weebly site. Does that mean that you would 301 redirect from the domain you brought to Weebly, and then from Weebly to your client site?
Okay, I'm looking at the question now too, because that is a bit involved. So I'm looking at the event page. All right, so to answer your question, yeah, okay, what I suggested to do, and I'm going to talk about this conceptually. I'm not going to get into the mechanics of this because that's reserved for mastermind members. I don't give away information like this publicly because that is reserved for mastermind members. But on a conceptual level, yes, I can confirm, Braulio, that is exactly what I do. Is when I'm doing SEO work for clients, okay, which I don't recommend. You guys all know that. You should be building your own assets instead of your clients. But if you do have clients, or you are planning on taking on clients, then I suggest that what you do is you make a mirror site of their site on your own domain and do all of your backlink building to your own domain. And you 301 redirect the pages from your own domain that are mirrored from your client's domain over to your client. That way, in case the client decides to stop paying you, you remove the 301 redirects and you get to keep all the SEO work that you did on your own site. Does that make sense? So that's what I recommend doing. Now, as far as the type of 301 redirects, would I use tinyURL or Bitly? No. I'll use those for cleaning. And in fact, I don't recommend using Bitly at all for any sort of redirect stuff other than pure spam. Okay, because Bitly will, occasionally Bitly will determine one of their links is spam, and it's random how they do it. And I don't mean, like, sometimes it'll be a perfectly legit Bitly redirect link, and Bitly will put a spam tag on it, and a spam tag makes it a 302 before it's a 301. And again, we're talking about technical SEO, guys. I know a lot of you on here, this might be over your head, so we're going to move past this in just a minute. If you want to learn more about this stuff, join the mastermind. Okay, but a 302 that redirects to a 301, it removes all the link juice. It's a pointless redirect at that point. It's a navigational redirect only. It's not. There has no SEO value in a 302 redirect. If that makes sense. So I don't recommend using Bitly. tinyURL you can use, but again, you have no control over it once it's created. So what I do is I buy domains. They don't have to be expired. They can be brand new registered domains for the method that I was just talking about, where I mirror a client site with my own domain first, do all my link building to my own domain, and it's redirected to theirs. Okay, that way it's like Terry Kyle. He's another SEO guy that I highly recommend following him as well. He's got what's called Switchbox SEO. That's that's the term that he coined. It's called Switchbox SEO, and it's very similar to that because you control that switch. You can point your link juice that you built to your own domain anywhere you want. okay? And that's how I recommend doing it, because that way, once again, you keep control of that, of all the work that you've done. Why shouldn't you? You did the work. You know what I mean? As long as they're paying you, you're going to point it at their site anyways, right? Okay, so the third option would be to do a meta refresh from a Weebly site. Yes, that can be done. Again, I'm not going to give that away here. Would I do a 301 redirect from the domain I bought to Weebly and then from Weebly to your client site? Depends on what you're doing. If you're cleaning dirty link juice, then yeah. And again, this is way advanced for this setting, so I'm not going to get into this too much. But there's a lot of really ninja things that you can do with redirects and cleaning dirty. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could take expired or not expired, de-indexed domains that have a ton of link juice. A lot of them are going to be Chinese spam domains, and you can redirect those. And through 301 redirects, you can clean the link juice and just provide massive ranking power to whatever properties you're trying to rank. But you have to do it properly, because if you don't, you'll tank your site. And again, we talk about that. In fact, the last two mastermind members that we mastermind webinars that we did, we went over that extensively. So that's available inside the mastermind. But again, some of that stuff I can't talk about publicly, because we don't want to let the cat out of the bag. So,
and we also don't want people working it out the wrong way and tanking their sites.
That's right, because unless you have extensive training on how to do it, you will blow your site up. You know what I mean? And I can't recommend that. I can't I can't encourage you to do this unless you know what you're doing, because you can get yourself into trouble. So I think I answered that part of it, Zane.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you see the second half of the question? Was that one?
Okay. He says, if a client already has a YouTube channel and asks you to rank both his existing videos and all the new ones you create, how do you create a buffer to protect your work? This is a great question, Braulio. It's a great question. Well, you know, that's the thing. Okay, when I'm dealing with new clients, I don't even give them the option. Like if I'm doing, like I tell them, even if you have your own channel, I tell them I'm going to download your videos and upload them onto my channel. Again, I want control, not them. Okay, I'll do what I said I'm going to do for them, but I want it on my channel. All right. So if a client asks me specifically that they want their the videos ranked on their channel, then that's fine. I'll do it, but I charge them a premium for it, because I tell them, look, if you want to work with me, it's going to go on my channel, because my channel is an authority channel that I've built up. I've got my syndication networks tied to my channel. I've been building links to those syndication networks, so I've increased the page authority, the trust, all of that. All the metrics are all stronger on my own networks, right? So if I've got to start over on your channel, I'm going to charge you for the network builds. I'm going to charge you for additional link building. I'm going to charge you for the additional time it takes to set up. So I charge a much, much higher premium. In fact, what I do with clients when they want me to rank their videos on their channel is I set the price so high that they don't even want to do it on their channel. They say, okay, we'll just go with the first option you gave us. And the reason, once again, is I want that control. And also, I want my job to be easier. You know, I don't want to have to repeat the process that I've already done. Again, I talk about building your own assets. Well, once you've built an asset that can produce results for you very easily, with less work, with very little work, right, additional work, then why not force your potential clients or your customers onto your own network, where it's going to make your job easier anyways. However, again, if they want to do that, if they insist, let's put it that way, then fine, charge them a premium. As far as, let's see, if you had to create a buffer to protect your work, you could do the same thing with 301 redirects, though, that we just talked about. Like if you were to go out and buy your own domains and then do 301 redirects to the YouTube videos, and then you just build all your links to your domain, your redirect domain, then essentially you could do the same thing. Is you could turn that off if they decide that they wanted to stop paying you, so that you just remove all the link juice. However, with YouTube videos, a lot of the times, once they rank and they start to get natural engagement from just being ranked, then they'll end up staying there, even if you remove a lot of the link juice. Okay, the hardest thing is to get them there. Once they're there, the natural engagement just from being ranked and getting activity on them will help to keep them ranked. Does that make sense? Okay.
Awesome. Great explanation. So,
I'm sorry, Zane. The last part of the question, I am looking at it, so I was just going to answer that.
Yeah, go for it.
Since I know Bradley mentioned on this video somewhere, I've lost count of how many I've seen so far between the ifftt training and the Hangouts. I believe it was one of the advanced strategy webinars, so I'm not sure if we can talk about the Ninja SEO stuff here. Oh, okay. Well, I just answered that. Yeah, I gave you guys a little bit of a tidbit, but if you want to get into depth on how to do all that kind of stuff, again, I have to reserve that for mastermind members. So,
Okay. Now, Braulio actually just threw in a follow-up question here in the chat since he's in the group here.
Okay.
And what if the client is afraid of losing the investment they made with someone else who created the video because you would be quote unquote owning it or taking away a video that they paid for?
Well, no, you're not taking it away. You're just telling them that you're also uploading it to your channel. So it's not like you're saying, I'm taking the video off of your channel and putting it on mine, and I'm going to be in control of your video. No, it's not that. You're just saying, look, you can do whatever you want with your video. You say this to the client. You know, if you've got it on your website, you've got it on your own channel, that's fine. I'm not going to touch that. All I'm going to do is copy that video, download it, and upload it also in addition to where it's already on your channel onto my channel. And I'm going to perform the SEO because my network, and here's how you sell it, my network is built such that it will rank your video. Your network is not. If you want me to rank it on your network or on your channel, then that's fine, but I'm going to have to build you a network, and it's going to cost this much additional money because it's going to take me this much additional time and additional work. You see what I'm saying? So, again, I suggest that if somebody is worried about that, you need to calm their fears by saying, I am not going to take your video away from you. I'm just going to duplicate it and put it on my own channel. So you'll have it in both places anyways. And if they decide that they want to stop paying you again, like, you know, if they say, okay, well, I don't want to pay Braulio anymore, then Braulio, all you do is just turn their video to unlisted. Here's why you don't delete the video. Because if you delete the video, all the link juice that you built to that video by syndicating across your networks disappears, right? Thin air, it's gone. So instead, you keep the video on your channel, you just keep it to unlisted. Because then it's still a live video, but it's not going to rank in the search engines anymore. But still, all that link juice is still funneling in through that video back to your channel, which adds to the authority of the rest of your channel. Does that make sense?
I am so glad you said that because so many people just assume that you should delete it.
No, because then you just pissed all that work away.
Yeah, and not only that, you can use that same unlisted video as ways to show future clients, right? Another prospective client say, hey, this is what I did for somebody else. You can see the view count here, and you can decide how much detail you want to go into it,
right.
But you can still leverage it beyond the work that you put into it. So that
and something that's interesting that I've experienced before when I've done that, when a client decided that what I was doing wasn't valuable to them anymore, and then I've unlisted their video, and in seconds it disappears out of the search results, right? And then a couple weeks, couple days, whatever goes by, and I get a phone call from that client. Oh, you know what? We've reconsidered. We haven't gotten as many phone calls as we usually do. We're sorry. Can you turn it? Can you put it back? Well, if I had deleted it, then I'd have to start all over. But with it being unlisted, all I got to do is reset it back to public, and it usually, boom, comes right back to where it was. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's very powerful.
Makes you look super pro, too. Yeah. All right, awesome. Braulio says, yes, got it. So he will have two of the exact video, but on different channels.
Yep, won't be a problem. It's on a different channel, so it won't be duplicate.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, upward and onward then?
Yes, please.
Alrighty, so the next question that we have here is from Monique, and she says, hi, Bradley, thank you for hosting another Hangout on Air. My question for today's Hump Day Hangout are, prepare for block of text, which web hosts have you vetted as being the best for speedy site networks while avoiding slow times, upload size errors, and timeout errors for visitors and administrators? So I guess we can start with that.
Yes, great question, Monique's great questions. I see there's several. That's great, guys. That's exactly what I'm looking for, guys, for these Hump Day Hangouts. Zane, I'm going to start putting some links in your chat if you want to transfer them into either onto the screen or I can actually, you know what, I'll post these on the event page too. Monique, what I would suggest is if it's for money sites, I use Liquid Web, and I've been using Liquid Web for years. I found them to be the best for money sites, and so I'm going to put, and yes, there is an affiliate link for that. So by all means, if you guys are going to invest in Liquid Web, look, one thing we talked about, and for SEO hosting, we're going to talk about that in just a moment as well, okay? Because I'm going to follow up with the rest of the questions. But with your money sites, you want to have high quality hosting, guys. Do not cheap out on hosting. HostGator, I've never used them because they're a cheap host, and I've used a lot of cheap hosts in the past for various things, and they cause more problems than they're worth, and they will cause your sites to not rank as well. Period. Okay, and I'll debate that with anybody any day of the week, because when you have cheap hosts, they overload the servers. and you've got a bunch of spammy sites on the same IP as yours, which is going to bring the SEO value down of your site included. You're going to get grouped in, guilty by association, really. So, it's going to affect, if you got slow load times, that's going to affect your ability to rank. It's going to affect your visitors, because if you have slow load times, it's going to, or your site goes down, it's going to, piss your visitors off. So don't cheap out on money site hosting. In fact, I recommend going with a host. Like I said, I've used Liquid Web for several years. I think their support is fantastic. It costs $15 a month. In fact, the link that I just put up there, you can get the first month of hosting for like $1.95 if you buy through that link. If you go to their main website without clicking that link, you'll see it's $14.95 a month. If you buy 6 months or 12 months out at a time, you can get a discount. I suggest going with a good host like that for money sites. However, now moving on to SEO hosting. If you're going to be using SEO hosting, C-Class doesn't cut it anymore. It's not unique enough. So I would suggest with C-Class host or with SEO hosting that you go with A and B class hosting. And I see that you ask about that, and I put the links into the event page. I use Brain Matter Hosting is by Brian Prinz and Andreas Tovar and Donald Van Fossen, who are the guys that make the Surfshaker plugin. We had them on last week for a special webinar. I had Brian on, and they developed Brain Matter Hosting. I have not had a chance to check them out for their SEO hosting, which is 25 IPs. So I don't, but I can vouch for them, and I know that they are the top of their game as far as being developers, and it's industrial strength hosting. I know that for sure. So I haven't used them for SEO hosting yet, but I can.
I'm testing them out right now, and I'll back up what Bradley said. I mean, no issues yet, and support has been really fast.
They really are. They're outstanding guys, and that's not an affiliate link. I can't recommend working with them for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't recommend enough to work with them for anything, because their support is fantastic. They really know their stuff. Okay. So I would recommend trying that. I haven't looked into the SEO hosting yet to see if it's A or B class or C class or what, but I'm sure that they can work out whatever you need. And then lastly, I put in No Name Internet, nonameinternet.com. If you go to it's funny, No Name Internet, but I know the owner. I don't know him personally, but I know that whenever I put in support tickets, it's Andreas Pastor is his name. They're so quick to respond. In fact, him as the owner of the company even responds often to support tickets, which I find fantastic. And they have data centers all over the world, so you get A and B class hosting whenever you set up hosting accounts, and they're really good at hiding he knows his stuff too. And so I've got, like, I think 90 or 95 IPs with them, because I also use Skynet hosting for Class B. Skynet hosting also offers Class A and Class B hosting. And I suggest, if you're going to be building PBN sites or networks, that you make sure that you're using Class A and Class B hosting, not Class C. And also that you check your footprints. Okay, guys? Go to Leaf DNS. I'll put this in chat. Let me just go to the site real quick. But go to Leaf, LEAF-DNS.com. Okay, and check your PBN site, your domains at leafdns.com. I guarantee, I can almost promise you that many of you are leaving a clear and a very identifiable footprint, and you don't even know it when it comes to your SOA records, your name servers, and that sort of thing. So if you go to leafdns.com and you just start checking some of your PBN domains, and you start seeing a footprint, get it fixed, resolve it, okay? And so that's why if you go with a really good SEO host, they know how to cover their tracks a lot better than a lot of the cheaper SEO hosts. Okay, so those are the ones I recommend.
Awesome, awesome. So the next question is that are there any issues when using the site cloning feature in the WordPress Softaculous Fantastico install? Okay, all right. Yeah. So. Right.
I don't use that. I clone my sites, and I can see that was part of a follow-up question. Is there any issues with site cloning, or how do we move from C class? I'm sorry. How do we move from C class hosting to A or B class hosting? Okay, the couple ways that you can do it. Number one, a lot of the times the hosting providers that you're moving to will do that for you. You just got to contact their support when you set up their account and ask them. A lot of them will do that for you, because they're bringing you in as new customers. That's kind of like a value-added feature. The other thing you can do is do it yourself. There's a million cloning scripts out there. There's plugins that do it. I happen to use one that Peter Garrity put out. When I do it myself, if I've got like one site that I've got to move, I'll do it myself, and it's called Replicator Pro. I don't know if you can still buy it or not. It's Replicator with a K. Okay, Replicator Pro. I don't know if you can still buy it or not. If any of you guys are here that are Peter Garrity students or buy his products anyways, then reach out to their support and see if they'll sell it to you, because a lot of the times they will if you contact support, even if the offer's closed, as long as you're already a Peter Garrity customer of some sort. Don't know that for sure, but that's a good cloning script. There's other ones that you can do it, like WP Twin, WP Clone. There's several of them that will do it.
Yeah, main WP is another good one.
Yep, main WP will do it as well. If you've got a bunch of sites to do and the hosting provider that you're moving to won't do it for you, then what do you guys know that I preach to you guys all the time? Outsource it. Okay, go to Odesk, find a server admin on Odesk, and you can find somebody there that can do everything for you. I've got a guy that I could put the link in that I've used. His name is in fact, if you go to Odesk, you can look him up. His name is Andrew Daug, D-A-U-G. It's one word. The last name is D-A-U-G. Andrew first name. You can check him out. I know he was pretty busy. I gave him a pretty much like a full-time job for several months, and then I haven't been using him recently, but he moved, like, I'm not kidding, this guy's moved like 300 of my sites between 5 and 6 hosts before, because I've tried a bunch of cheap hosts and I finally settled on No Name Internet and Skynet hosting to host my sites. So what I suggest doing is just go into Odesk, look for somebody that has you can look for the keyword WordPress migration, and then find somebody on Odesk to do your sites for you, because you guys shouldn't be spending your time migrating your sites. Either let the hosting provider do it or hire it out. If you got one or two, then you can use a cloning script, but I would suggest if you got more than that, let somebody else do it.
Yeah, and well, just to chime in, if you get a quality hosting company, they'll do it, right? So that consider that one of the things. Like, if you think that you have a quality hosting company, but they won't migrate sites for you, then you can assume that they're not actually that high quality.
So I see that she asked about the cloning WordPress plugins. I just mentioned I don't like the plugins that do it. Like, I've always just used a script. It's different than a plugin. And it's just my personal, what I've done over the years. So I don't know if there are certain plugins that work well. Like Adam just mentioned, it's main WP. They have a plugin module that will clone it, or is that just part of their default plugin?
I can't remember. I think that used to be, but you might have to pay. I think the default is free, and then you have to pay for the extension that does cloning. But anyways, it's something like $15, and you basically download your site, and then you just upload it. It's nice.
Yeah, and main WP is really cool for managing your networks anyways. Just make sure that you know how to hide your footprint with that as well. And they've got some additional training about that. Do I use child themes on my sites? Do you build SEO features into your templates? No, for PBN sites, I'll just use free WordPress themes, and that's it. I just use free WordPress themes, but I try to set them up to look like real blogs or real business sites, okay, so that they're not the run-of-the-mill PBN blogs that are completely recognizable when you land on them. I try to make them look like real sites, and that's part of the whole thing with building out personas and IFTTT networks. Guys, I put IFTTT networks around every PBN site, period. It's got a tightly themed IFTTT network with a persona that owns the blog. Everything is tied in very good. It looks like a real person owns the blog, okay, and that helps to prevent them from getting identified as spam blogs anyways, right? Make no mistake, your PBN blogs, they're spam blogs. So just make no mistake about that. She says, are there popular free WordPress plugins that are known to keep causing errors? I get a lot of plugin errors. Yeah, on PBN sites especially, because you will have a bunch of problems. Use as little plugins as possible, the absolute minimum that you can. For those types of sites, really all you're doing is building links anyways, right? So you really don't need a bunch of plugins on those. On your money sites, that's different. But try to find, I always try to reduce plugin usage as much as possible, because it will cause problems, like you said, and will also cause slow load times on your site. Okay.
Well, and I'll take this opportunity to pound the pulpit a little bit too, like Bradley was talking about. If you outsource it, then you don't deal with any plugin errors, right? The person that's doing the work for you has to deal with it. So
that's right.
Keep that in perspective. I mean, all these questions tend to just disappear and fade away if you've got an outsourcer to take care of it. And if you really want to know this stuff, go nuts, right? That's what these Hangouts are here for. But if you don't want to be that person, then have that person come and watch these Hangouts, right?
Yeah, and exactly right. And in fact, if you've got a bunch of sites to move and you hire a server admin, a lot of those server guys that they're really good with WordPress, period, and so they can do like a lot of the WordPress troubleshooting if you have any. I mean, yeah, I consider myself pretty good with WordPress, but sometimes I get stumped by a problem, and so I just call up my server guy, Andrew, and say, or I don't call him, but I hit him up on Odesk and say, Andrew, I got a problem I need you to fix, and then voila, it's fixed. You know what I mean? It only cost me a few bucks. I think I paid him like $8.50 or $9 an hour, but it was totally worth it because my time is better spent doing other things, not moving WordPress sites. You know what I mean?
Amen.
Okay. Next.
Yeah. So, well, she has. I mean, we can go into more of this as well. You were talking about some YouTube playlist stuff, but some tailored stuff. Do you have a winning SEO strategy for YouTube playlists that you can share? I love
Perfect opportunity. Perfect opportunity to pitch our next thing. Actually, guys, yeah, what we're doing is we're Adam and I are putting together a YouTube playlist silo. I call it because just so the branding is consistent. It's YouTube Silo Academy. Okay, in fact, we're putting that together. The product should be done probably ready by next week. Is that right, Adam?
Sounds like it.
Okay, I think it'll be ready for next week. And what I think we're going to do is we're going to sell the product for $7. It's a full-on training series on how to set up the YouTube, how to silo YouTube playlists. Okay. However, for those of you that are already ifftt members, we're going to make you guys just a special offer where it won't cost you a dime. I'll explain that to you guys later or when we launch the product. So that'll be by this time next week. It'll be launched. But you guys will get it. It won't cost you a dime. I'm just going to ask you to do something like fill out a survey, tell me what it is that you want to see next or that you want to learn next, so that we can develop or provide training for you guys that you want specifically that's going to be useful. So we'll probably send out like a survey. Once you complete the survey, you'll get to download the product for free or get access to it. We're going to put it in a membership site just like ifftt SEO Academy. It'll be YouTube Silo Academy, and you guys can come join that as well. So we'll make it a special deal for you guys, and then to the rest of the general public, it'll be just a $7 product, but it's totally worth it because it's some pretty ninja stuff. So that should be available by this time next week.
Wow, that's top. That's some top shelf stuff right there. Fantastic. All right. Well, yeah, that was it. She said, thanks in advance for all of your answers to my questions. So we are up to all of the questions that were sort of preset, and now we have more of like the real-time questions. So if you have any other questions, of course, feel free to drop them in. Bradley's going to be here as long as he's going to be here. So. Let's see, what do we got next?
Okay, I'm seeing a few. Brian asked about a keyword. Brian, I can't do keyword research for you on this webinar. It wouldn't really make sense. I can give you some pointers, but it would have to be outside of this particular format, just because I'm not going to go start doing keyword research. Everyone else would fall asleep. So, but Brian, you're in. Just hit post the same question if you don't mind in the Google Plus community, the free, the one that you're a member of as well, the free one, and I'll shoot a little quick training video to show you how I would find a keyword for you. Okay, and I'll stick it in there.
Cool. Next week, Jason was just saying, "Can I get a shout out? I'm in there."
Jason, what's up, dude? He's funny. Jason's a good guy. He's in our ifftt SEO Academy, and he's really excited about everything. So, what's up, Jason? I'm glad to have you here, buddy.
Nice. And since you brought up the free community, I'm going to pull that up in just a second for anybody who's not familiar with it. So while I do that, we've got a question from Rainer, who says, my client bought a site a while back that wasn't in the same niche that he was in but had a lot of juice. Would it be okay to 301 redirect from a site that isn't in the same niche to start with a different niche?
Yes, you can, because what you're doing at that point is you're just pushing juice, right? So yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier with some real ninja stuff that you can do with 301 redirects. It's strictly to push juice at that point, right? Because you're pushing irrelevant link juice. Does that make sense? You're pushing juice, but it's not pushing relevancy. So I would still run that through a 301 redirect before just 301 redirecting. So I would have a step in between. My point is I wouldn't direct it. I wouldn't point it directly to the new money site if it's from outside of that same theme. If it's a different niche entirely, If you were going to do it, you could point it to a subdomain on that money site domain. You could do that, or you could buffer it, right, with another 301 in between. Okay, and again, that's getting into some more advanced SEO stuff. Great question, Rainer. You should join the mastermind, dude. I'm going to take that opportunity to drive you into that again. So, but yeah, I would buffer it or run it to a subdomain on the money site. That's what I would do.
Awesome, awesome. So we do have some more questions, but since you had brought it up, I just wanted to show everybody this is the free community that Bradley was talking about, and they've got a bunch of really great information here. So hop over to Google Plus and find the community here. Of course, we'll add a link that you can just jump to straight away. But as you can see, there's already a ton of content in here and a lot of helpful information. So.
We got the Facebook community too, or the Facebook group, guys, the free one too. I just want to make a statement that I am a Google Plus guy, not a Facebook guy. And I've spent more time in Facebook in the last 2 weeks than I care to admit to. But it's only because of you guys. But I prefer Google Plus any day of the week. So if you guys, want even better access, hit me up there.
Yay, Google Plus, right? We all love it.
Yeah.
Next question is from Sandra. She says, maybe a silly question, but what photo do you use for the persona? She's wondering if purchasing an iStock photo would be okay, or if there would be any problems with that.
Okay, what I'm about to tell you, if it's in, Sandra, you should have already, I think you've got the ifftt SEO Academy course, so it's covered in there. It's not particularly the most white hat thing to do, but there's things that you can do with photo morphing software to make photos unique to where they're not, that's a touchy subject. I can't talk about really publicly. I would say that just be careful with what you're doing. You can use stock photos, but they're even those, if they're easily recognized, there's things that you can do to make the image itself unique in Google's eyes. Okay, and I talk about that in the training. At least I'm pretty sure that's in the training. So. But yeah, I would go with something. I would try to make the file more unique than just some stock photo that's been used a million times. Although I know that I've got bunches of networks that have stock photos, but it's up to you. If you're just building a couple networks, then I would suggest going ahead and spending the money on a photo. Whether you're doing a couple networks or a bunch of networks, if you like photo morphing software, you can take a photo and you can skew it or whatever enough to where it becomes unique, and then you're not is it a copyright issue then? You know what I mean? So that's what I would recommend doing. And then again, you could also outsource that kind of thing. You can find somebody on Odesk or even Fiverr for that matter that can make a photo unique. All right.
Awesome. Okay, so next we had the suggestions that Bradley had made there, but we have a question from Clifton who's asking, can you go over on-page keyword density for exact match domains?
Sure. Okay, with exact match domains, I don't recommend using those anymore, guys. If you already have them, then that's fine. You just got to be aware. Zane, I'm going to post a link. You know what? I'm just going to post it right on the page. Okay. Guys, I'm putting the link back again. Wow, questions are still coming in. We're going to have to wrap it up soon, though, guys, so we'll get to what we can. SEO Centro. I just put the link on the event page. SEO Centro. Zane, can you give me my screen, or you can just pull it up.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
SEOcentro.com. It's a free tool that you can use to check keyword density of pages. You'll see that on the left-hand side there's the SEO tools section, and if you click on keyword density, then you just put your page URL in there, fill out the captcha, and click submit. And then once you do, it will show you the keyword density or the occurrence and the density of keywords on your page. The way that Google looks at them, okay, because what's interesting is it's not necessarily the occurrence of words next to each other, like in proximity to each other, as it is just the number of times that words appear on a page that gives them, Google assigns like a weight to those keywords. It's interesting how they do that now. And once again, welcome to the semantic web, right? So what I would suggest doing is on your singular terms, when you pull up this, when you analyze your page in SEO Central, you're going to have singular terms, you're going to have 2-word terms, and 3-word terms. For singular terms, I wouldn't go above 2%. For 2-word terms, I wouldn't go above 1%. And for 3-word terms, I wouldn't go above 0.2%. So just be careful. With exact match domains, it makes no difference on the on-page stuff. Where exact match domains are going to hurt you is with your link building. You got to be careful with that, right? And so that doesn't have anything to do with density, keyword density on page, right? What that has to do with is your inbound link profile. What are your anchor text ratios? Because I don't know if you know this, but when you build a naked URL or a URL anchor back to your website with the exact match domain, that's going to count as a keyword. It's going to count as a keyword anchor because you've got the keyword as an exact match domain. Does that make sense? So you got to be extra careful when you have exact match domains on with your link building, your inbound link building, because what I would recommend then is going with more brand terms, because typically your brand isn't. If your brand is the same as your exact match domain, then cut that. Don't follow that advice. But if your brand is, like for example, I know I built dozens of lead gen sites, and I used to use exact match domains because they rank better. But the companies that I would brand them for, once I found somebody to buy the leads from me or whatever, I would put their branding on the site. Well, then I would build links back to the site with their brand name, even if with the exact, it wouldn't be the exact match domain name, it would be a brand name. So that's one way to do it. Another way would just be to do more like generic terms and go with broad keywords, not exact match keywords. If you're doing local stuff, that means like instead of plumber in Dallas, you just go with plumber. Does that make sense? It's more broad. So that's what you want to do. You just want to be really careful. With on-page stuff, just analyze your page and try not to go beyond those thresholds that I just mentioned. Once again, that's 2% for single word terms, 1% for two-word terms, and 0.2% for three-word terms. Okay?
All right. And when you're looking at the website, just try not to have a seizure with all these flashy links. So.
Yeah, right.
All right, we got another question from Sandra. She says, you say that putting your clients' videos on your own channel because you've built authority up, if your new client is a brand new niche for you, for a new channel, you would not have the authority, right? Also, if you duplicate your channel, won't YouTube see it as a duplicate?
Okay, to answer your first question, yes, Sandra, you're right. But what I would do is I would probably be building the network on my own anyways, so that I can monetize that network with more than one client, right? The idea is that you own the asset, period. Okay, so yeah, you might be starting off from scratch, but I'll build a brand new network for a new client that's like in a new industry that I typically haven't covered in the past. Because I'll know that once the network's built, once that asset's built, I can monetize it. I can cross-monetize it with other businesses, right, in the same industry. So again, you're just adding to your asset base. So every chance you get, I mean, if somebody's going to pay you anyways, then why not? Why not start to build your assets? So number one, yes, I would build a new network at my own expense to rank their videos, because I know that later on down the road, once I've built that network and built up a little bit of authority with it, I can start to do the same thing for other businesses. Maybe not in the same location. It could be a neighboring city or whatever, but I could start to sell space on that network because I built it. It's an asset. So number one. Also remember that, I mentioned this before. Look, if you guys are, I recommend, and we had one of our mastermind members, Scott, asked us this in the mastermind. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. He asked about, in starting to build out his networks, should he brand a network for a particular city, or should he brand a network, theme a network for a specific industry? And I've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating again. You can do city networks, right? So it's a network that the common theme is the location or the region, the area, all right? And that's fine. You can do that. And I've done that. I've got several networks like that. And what that does is it allows you to rank any business in that area because the common denominator there is the location, the area, right? The problem with that is it's not as scalable as building a themed network around an industry or a niche. The reason why is because every time you go to rank you get a new client, a new business in that's going to rent space on your network, or however you monetize that, you've got to do keyword research over, right? And I spent a lot of time on keyword research, and then you've got to learn the vocabulary and the pain points of that market, that industry, right? So it's a lot of additional research. Whereas if you set up a niche specific, or you theme your networks around a particular industry, a particular niche, you do the keyword research one time. You get to know that market, you get to know their pain points, their hot buttons, and you're able to very quickly scale by just covering more area. But the common theme is one industry, so once you've done the research once, it's done. So you become an expert in marketing for that industry. Does that make sense? It makes it a hell of a lot easier to scale. I recommend doing that. However, I know a lot of you, like, again, I got my start with doing everything hyper-local. It was all, like, right within where I live, you know what I'm saying, my backyard. And so that's how I started. But I found over time that it's much easier to get really good with a particular industry or a couple industries. Like, I do contracting stuff now, right? That's mainly my client base is, you know, home improvement contractors, electricians, HVAC, tree services, landscapers, that kind of thing. So I'm comfortable in that arena, and I can scale that very quickly. Whereas, you know, like if somebody came to me from that sells car insurance, you know, a car insurance, an insurance broker, I would have a difficult time with that because it would take me a long time to do the research and get familiar with that industry, if that makes sense. So, also, if duplicated to your channel, would YouTube see it as duplicate? No, because you're, as long as it's on another channel. If you tried to upload the same video to the same channel, then yes, Google or YouTube would flag it and wouldn't allow the upload. But if you're doing it to a different channel, it's not going to matter. And also, I recommend that you live stream your videos anyways instead of just a straight upload, because you'll get a ranking boost out of that. And when you live stream it, it's going to be a unique file anyways. Okay.
Yeah, well said. I was going to say something pretty much to the same effect. Like, YouTube doesn't really care that if you have one video on one channel and the exact same video on another. The only reason why YouTube would care is if that content wasn't actually yours. Then they would say, no, that's duplicate content and it's copywritten. That's the only time they would have an issue with anything duplicate.
Right.
So then next we've got another one from Rainer. It says, if the persona is on a Gmail account and the Gmail account is not being used for email, can Google detect that it's a fake account?
Probably. I don't worry about it, though. Honestly, I don't. Number one, when you're going to get emails from all of the Web 2.0 accounts that you set up all the time anyways, you'll get a bunch of inbound emails. You might not have a bunch of outbound emails because you're not using it much, but you'll get a bunch of inbound emails. Something you can do, though, is you can set up a Gmail recipe. In fact, there's a couple backup recipes in the ifftt PDF where if the normal recipe doesn't work, you can use a RSS to Gmail recipe that will, or even YouTube to Gmail recipe, where it will send an email automatically every time you upload content to your YouTube channel or you publish a new post on your blog if you're using the RSS recipes. So essentially, you could set up just to keep Rainer if you were worried about that. Personally, I don't care. But if you were worried about that, and that's a valid concern in my opinion, I just I don't know either way whether it's harmful or not. Would be to set up a couple of Gmail recipes that would trigger every time you uploaded new content, whatever your trigger action would be, YouTube or blog, either way. That way, at least you're getting outbound emails too, right? You get the inbound emails from your Web 2 accounts that are going to send you stuff anyways, notifications and things, and then every time you uploaded new content, now you'd have an outbound email. So that would solve that problem. Okay. Sandra says, I see this one. What is the real difference between unlisted and private? Unlisted means that anybody with the URL can see it. Private means only those that you have authorized to see it can see it, which means like giving them permission via Google Plus or email invite to look at it.
Okay. Okay, so next, BJ was asking, what is Andrew's name at Odesk again? I did the same search, BJ. I can't seem to find him either. So
yeah, I posted it up in there. I checked with Bradley, and he verified it. But the link's up above. If you guys don't see it, just scroll up. But we got the link up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, again, I worked him to death for a while, and I know he reached out. I had a big network build that we finished about 2 months ago, and he hasn't done any work for me then. I have been in communication with him, but I don't know how much capacity he has to take on more work. Just reach out to him. Tell him that I recommended him. He'll respond whether he can take you or not. Okay. I can't guarantee that he can. I'm just that's who I used. All right. So.
Okay. Next, Scott was asking where the event page was. Scott, I went ahead and sent you a private message that will give you the direct link right to the event page. All right, so if you're watching this part, you should have a message by now in your Google Plus, and it'll take you straight to this page where you can talk and interact with us more. So there you go.
For those of you that aren't using Google Calendar, even if you don't use Google Calendar normally, if you've RSVP'd to the event, then I think you can just load Google Calendar in your browser and it will show you the event page anyways. Am I right about that, Zane?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the beauty of it. You sign up, and Google takes care of the rest. They'll even send reminders to the folks who've signed up, saying, kind of like GoToWebinar sends reminders.
Right.
So awesome.
Okay. Sandra asked about SEO hosting again. Is there any other specific reason to use SEO hosting? No, that's you've got it precisely, Sandra. It's for just hosting your PBNs to give them unique IPs. That's really the importance of it.
Yeah. All right, and this caught my eye, and I think it's worth sharing. Brian just pointed out the YouTube silos sound great. I'm currently working through the ifftt Semantic Mastery course and have just launched a couple of videos, about 3 modules away from being done. Really enjoying the course and looking forward to the results. Thanks.
Sweet, Brian. I'm glad you like it, man.
Go Bradley.
Keep at it, buddy. Trust me, you'll see. Once you've uploaded a few videos to your channel, you start to build the authority. You're going to see some real results, dude. I promise you that. So.
Very cool.
Okay.
And we've got 2 questions that just came in, but that'll catch us up.
That'll wrap it up. Yep.
Yeah. So first one is, what do you recommend? How would you recommend that we utilize Syndwire with our new networks?
Great question. Okay, I actually created a video, or not a video, an image earlier today. Let me see. What I'll do is I'll open it up real quick, and then I'll take the screen for a minute, and you guys can take a look at it on my screen, and then I'll upload it to the event page so that you guys can have it right on the event page. Okay.
Awesome.
So somebody in one of there's a Facebook group for Syndwire buyers, and somebody asked about that, so I created a graphic earlier today showing exactly what you're asking about. So I'm just going to take the screen for one moment. Let me grab that. Okay, guys, tell me if you can see this. You all seeing that?
Nothing. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So here's the tiered network image, guys, that we've used in the training, and it's on our blog and that sort of thing. And so where do we use Syndwire? Well, here you go. Use Syndwire I use Syndwire. I don't use Syndwire to link directly to my money site. Now, if you're doing YouTube videos, it's fine. Okay, you can blast away, and you can use the Syndwire properties for embeds too, right? So that's fine because it's YouTube. But if you're building links directly to a money site, so a self-hosted WordPress site or whatever kind of site it is, doesn't have to be WordPress, one of your own sites, then I wouldn't recommend using Syndwire directly to your money site unless you're using real unique content. None of this spun garbage crap. Look, I use spun garbage crap all the time, guys. Make no mistake. But I use it carefully and in the right places. Okay, do not point that kind of stuff directly at your money site. So I don't recommend that. Now, again, their training may tell you to do so, and if you want to listen to that, that's fine. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you how I use it. Okay. So what I do is I use the ifftt network as my tier 1, and then I'll blast the hell out of it with Syndwire. So the tier 1 network. So I'm building tier 2 links with Syndwire and tier 3 links. You see that? So where do I use Syndwire? I use it on all of the properties that are around my main money site. And then from there, you can even build links to those. I got it like tier 3 and tier 4 if you'd like, and that's where I'll start using things like GSA. That again, that's a bit more advanced. GSA is a pure spam tool. Syndwire is a spam tool, but it's a Web 2.0 spam tool, so it's different. You're using high authority properties, right? So they're cleaner links. They're spam nonetheless, but they're cleaner links. They're more high authority properties. GSA is a pure spam tool, and it's freaking fabulous if you know how to use it. But if you don't, you can get yourself into trouble. So what I'll do is I'll pump page authority into my networks out at like tier 3 and tier 4 using GSA, and then I'll use Syndwire as tier 2 and tier 3, or FCS Networker. That's another Web 2.0 spam tool that's quite amazing, and it's called FCS Networker, and we'll build second and third tier links with FCS Networker and then GSA those as well. Okay. But a lot of this you guys can accomplish with your ifftt networks on tier 1. Reason I like doing that, guys, is because they're clean. I have control over them, and it's good content because I syndicated my own content to them. You know what I'm saying? It's not spun garbage. You've got the attribution link, which is white hat in Google's eyes. You're citing the source, okay? And they're really clean. And again, it's themed content. It's consistent. If you keep up, if it's a YouTube channel or your own blog, as long as you're keeping up your frequency of publishing, your schedule is consistent. You're going to see your trust signals raise, everything, okay?
Okay. Now, Braulio is asking a follow-up question. He's asking, so you mean Syndwire can do the same job as GSA?
No. No, it does. It does not do the same job. It does a similar job, but again, it's a Web 2.0 spam tool. So in other words, you're using Web 2.0 sites. It's not the same as GSA. GSA will with the beauty about GSA is you can go out and scrape your own link targets, right? So you can find your own places to leave links, and that's where GSA is strong. It's a good tool for that because, for example, anybody that's ever used SE Nuke, okay, that left a clear and identifiable footprint, right? Everybody was using the same templates, the full Monties and all of that. I use the hell out of SE Nuke, guys. So I'm not saying anything bad about it, but it's just no longer effective. The algorithm can pick up on those footprints, those linking prints, those linking patterns, okay, and it will tank your site. There's no question it will, okay? It will harm your site. Over time, you might be able to get away with some spam up front and it ranks, but then trust me, eventually it's a ticking time bomb. I don't recommend that. GSA, the beauty in that is that you can go out and scrape your own link targets where you create your own link list, your own link list where you post content with links pointing back to your site. Don't do it to your money site though. Even if you're really, really skilled with the tool, you can do some pretty cool things with it. But I still wouldn't recommend at all, ever, to point links directly to your money site. All right, you want to filter those through buffer sites such as your ifftt networks. In fact, I cannot recommend to you guys using GSA anywhere closer than tier 3. Does that make sense? Like I would have at least two layers of buffer sites, Web 2.0 preferably type sites between GSA links and your money site. YouTube videos, again, it's different, guys, different rules, okay? But for your main money sites, you want to make sure that you have at least 2 layers of buffer links between GSA and your money site, unless you're really, really skilled with the tool, and then you can come one step closer. But I don't recommend that to anybody here because you got to be really skilled with the tool. So, and I'm not saying I am. I've got somebody that does that for me. I've never run GSA a day in my life. So, all right, last question. We got to wrap it up, right?
Yeah, we've got. Well, I think this is an important question. BJ's asking, please touch on the different levels of membership with the Semantic Mastery. If that's
okay, yeah, the different levels of membership. The Mastermind plus outsourcer training, that's $147 a month. That's where you get access to the full Mastermind plus the outsourcer training portal, which is the Trello boards. The second Trello board is going to be released by the end of this week. It's Wednesday now, so that gives me 2 days to get it done. It's actually done. I've just got to get the videos edited, and that's going to be. So right now, the outsourcer training portal Trello board, which basically you assign your VA to the system, and it will train them how to build the ifftt networks for you. Okay, that's number 1. The number 2 board is the live stream sites. Number 3 board will be the advanced RSS training. Number 4 is going to be client getting or prospecting using virtual assistants outsourcers so that you can outsource your prospecting, which I highly recommend because again, it's time consuming, it's tedious work. I don't recommend doing it yourself. Outsource everything, guys, that you can. So anyways, outsourcer training, Mastermind outsourcer training, that's $147 a month. If you're not ready for the outsourcer training or you don't need it yet, you can join just the Mastermind only. That's $97 a month. If you don't want the Mastermind but you want the outsourcer training only, you can get that for $67 a month. Okay, that's how that works.
Bingo. All right. So we'll consider that the last question. We did have Ken asking about how people can join the weekly Hangouts. Adam posted a link here, semanticmastery.com/hump day. We'd also encourage you to follow the Google Plus page, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'll send out automatic notifications all the time. But of course, you can just go to the website as well. So those are the last of it. Let's go through some final thoughts from Bradley, and if anybody else on the panel wants to do so, and then any questions that are added after this will just have to be tacked on to the next episode. So, final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for saying. That's something I never do, Zane, and that's why I'm glad you were here today. But I never tell people to go subscribe to the Semantic Mastery channel. Guys, do that because then you'll get notifications in your Google notifications when new videos are uploaded, which we do a lot. It's not just these Hump Day Hangouts. We also upload other videos all the time. We also take pieces of our webinars sometimes and cut them out and then upload those as individual files to answer certain questions, things like that. So please go subscribe to the channel. Yeah, anybody that's watching this that doesn't know how to find the event page, it's always going to be at semanticmastery.com/hump day. It's an evergreen link. In other words, the event page URL changes, but we have semanticmastery.com/hump day redirected to the event page. So we just change out the URL in the back end so that that link is going to remain evergreen. In other words, anytime you guys want to find the next Hump Day Hangout, where the replay from last week's Hump Day Hangout will be anyways, just visit semanticmastery.com/Hump Day. Go bookmark it. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, guys, I appreciate everybody being here. It was over an hour again. So we've got our next mastermind webinar is tomorrow, and then next week, which is the following Thursday, we have Hump Day Hangouts on Wednesday, but then on Thursday we're going to have Advanced Strategy webinar number 3 for ifftt buyers, where we're going to talk about more YouTube SEO stuff, and we're going to talk about setting up funnels so that you can automate your prospecting, okay, to a certain degree anyways. And we're going to talk about that. And then also the last reminder is that we're going to have the YouTube Silo Academy. We'll have that for you guys by Wednesday next week, and I told you everybody that's watching this can have the opportunity to get it for absolutely free, or you can pay $7 if you want, but you'll just have to do a small task like fill out a survey or something like that. So we'll tell you more about this next week.
Alrighty. Adam, it looked like you unmuted your mic. Did you have anything to add?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for watching and writing down all the questions. We really appreciate it when you get in here ahead of time and start the conversation, because that really helps us. If we need to prepare, there's something to look up or reference. It's really good and helpful.
Well, yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, take care. Thanks, Brad.
Adios, everybody.